announced that the Justice Department has secured felony guilty pleas from the world's largest cryptocurrency exchange, Binance.
Actually, it's Binance.
Binance.
Binance. Largest virtual.
Binance.
Binance. And let me be clear, it's Binance.
Binance.
Binance. Council has discussed crypto regulations and legislations at length, and we have come to the conclusion that instead of regulating, we are going to ape a fat bag each into laptop and pump it to over $1,300,000,000,000,000,000,000,000 market cap. Let's fucking go, crackheads.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Crypto Morning Coffee. I got my coffee locked and loaded, ready to go, because we have to talk about the crypto market. It is in a very bad shape, as it seems, especially the altcoin market. And I think this particular Crypto Morning Coffee, I just want to gather some thoughts that I had over the last days and discuss them with you. Go a little bit into what could be happening right now, how it could play out, how it could unfold, so that we are all aware of what are the possibilities that we have here, and what are the possibilities for a continuation, and what are the signs and possibilities for the end of the market, and why I do think that the situation right now is complicated. So let's take a second here. Let's look together into crypto. Let's look together also into some of the altcoins. Make sure to stay all the way through. Okay, good morning to each and every one of you. I really hope that you had a great October, even though that the October looks like this. Now we have the November. The November, not Moonvember, it's the November, with a big fat red candle start, and of course that's not great, but let's assess a little bit. So let's look at the environment, what we do have, and I think one of the biggest problems that we face right now is uncertainty in the market, because either today or in the next couple of days we are going to see the longest government shutdown in the history of the US. Didn't check today if it's resolved or not. Maybe you can comment in the chat, but probably not. Otherwise, the market would turn green again. It's interesting because before that government shutdown, sentiment was getting better as QT was seemingly at the end, and we would get the rate cuts in, but now it seems that uncertainty has come back. From a technical setup perspective, you would argue that, okay, we did break out from this on the monthly, right? And now we're flipping it into support, which would be reasonable if the indicators would not tell a little bit more negative story, right? And that is mainly the TSI, right, crossing down. But we are in the beginning, not in the end of the month. So this last piece, this can go like this or this. Yeah, it doesn't matter. So it's not this, it's undecided yet, right? Because we are looking at the monthly here. So in my opinion, if you have the chance, and this depends on you, your investment history, your personal preferences, and so on. But I'm personally waiting for this, how this plays out, because we have seen this in the TSI 2 times. We have seen it here and also here, that in these situations where to mark them down, this correction and this correction, okay? So in both of them, we have said, oh man, we are potentially threatening a bear cross on the TSI. And then we had this afterwards, this mega rally. What was that? If we take the whole, from the threat of the bear cross to the highest wick, it was 120% move out of Bitcoin. And then here we had another one in this situation where we went to the all-time highs and had a 70% move out of Bitcoin. So my thought is that the market likes to drive people crazy, and I think the market is winning right now in driving people crazy, because I see a lot of people that are exiting all of their positions and that are done with, or that are supposedly done with crypto, and that are even thinking about abandoning Bitcoin, even though that nothing, I wouldn't say nothing really happened, but I mean, we were in a bull market since here, but people only realized it here. So in January 2023, the bottom was in, and then people realized that in October 23 that the bottom was really in, and then but since here we have been in a bull market for Bitcoin, and we have gone up almost 8x since then. But because people went only on altcoins, most people don't feel that there was a bull market, because they said Bitcoin is too slow and 2, 3, 5x's are not enough. So we go overweight into altcoins, right? I've declared it many times. My strategy personally always was to have at least 51% Bitcoin, because then whatever altcoin fails, if Bitcoin survives, I will still be slightly in the plus with every risk that I take, right? So now that has paid off, right? That has absolutely paid off. And my entry is not here on the bottom, so I'm not up 8x, but rather my entry is somewhere between 30 and 40,000 if you take all the DCAing together, right? However, long story short, we see that we have seen a tremendous bull market out of Bitcoin. And even if we go, let's take this S&P 500 chart to go into ETH. Even if we go into ETH, we can say that we have seen bullishness out of ETH, even though it has only attempted to go higher, right? To go higher than the all-time high. We have seen 3x out of Ethereum here in this, and even a little bit more if we take it from here, only in this run. So, but that also, and as I said before, I'm trying to gather my thoughts here, right? This is where we have to say either, and this is when you are in the stance of this bull market is over already, either everything is massively different right now, and then yes, then we are going into a bear market here. But then we go into a bear market without euphoria and thrill phase. We go into a bear market without touching the TSI trend line. Okay, so that would be here, right? Without touching. We would go into a bear market without an RSI above 80, even above 80, right? Not even close, right? Usually RSI looks like this, goes to 90 and beyond. We would go into a bear market without a parabolic phase. We would go into a bear market without an altcoin, even a beginning of a real altcoin season. Because what we have seen, if we go here in the total 2, even total 2 with Ethereum, is only the going back to all-time high, basically, right? No new all-time highs out of that, right? Oh, hey Troy, thank you very much for the $50 donation. Thank you for the wedding gift. Yeah, exactly. Where has Patient Hodler been? Troy Paris said it. Getting married. So thank you very much for that. Appreciate it. So yeah, I'm very happy about this, by the way. And I was very happy to share it with you, Rare Hodlers, as well in the Telegram group. To share some pictures because you guys, some of you or many of you know me personally already from VV events. But yeah, and the rest of you I'll get to know soon, hopefully. Andrew Detox says, I'm agreeing with Benjamin Cohen, no retail, no euphoria. This season was all institutional. Yeah, and I'm coming to that. You're absolutely right. And I think Benjamin Cohen has made a lot of great calls. So we didn't go to all time, but we have to agree. Okay, so all of that. And yes, the reasoning is only institutions are in this. And therefore, institutions only care about Bitcoin and some Ethereum, which would explain this price behavior, right? So if that is true, then you would say, okay, how does an institution-only bear market look like then? Because is there even one, right? Because if retail isn't in here, retail also can't exit here, right? Same for altcoins. If retail isn't in, they can't exit. Maybe some are still in and then they abandon their $1 bags, right? Made $1 out of 100 and so on. So does this mean that we go to this super shallow bear market where Bitcoin bear market goes to 70,000 from here, and then the next bull phase comes in? Well, there are a couple of thoughts also around this where you say this might be a distribution phase. We will see a couple of voices in a second. But the other side is also what's the environment that we have right now that brought us here? Basically, we have been in a high interest rate environment where institutions are buying Bitcoin through, and rich individuals buying Bitcoin through ETFs. And they have been buying. But retail has only been wrecked by the high interest rate environment, credit card debt, auto loans, housing debt, not really much raises in the economy, and so on. So the economy is stifled is stuck. The economy in the Western world is stuck since 5 years, there and thereabout, right? There's no real, if you look at the growth numbers of Japan, of Germany, even of the US, GDP growth and so on, basically the economy is stuck because you have to see that technically there's no real economic growth if your inflation numbers and the monetary expansion is either higher or the same as GDP growth. Then you only have numeric growth. But do you really grow on a company level if you see that? So no growth means no money. And no monetary expansion beyond that means no money for people to throw at crypto. And I think everyone has felt that around in the cycle. So hey, yeah, we can DCA into our bags, but not really do much, right? And that explains kind of where we are. But as I said before, so if there's not much money in to crypto, how does a bear market look from here? Maybe it's very shallow. And then also we're looking at, and this is probably the result then of the government shutdown, we're looking at an environment where the Fed can pivot every moment now to quantitative easing, pumping money into the economy. And then that isn't that where exactly that phase kicks in, where people do have money. And also, if that is true, what Benjamin Cohen and so on says, then yeah, of course, like, I mean, this is the end of the 4-year cycle, right? Because even then, the cycle resumes and starts when there's money, right? So if there's no money right now and retail is not in there because of that, then that clearly proves the point that money, liquidity expansion and so on determines whether this goes up or not. And the rest of the altcoins determined by how much quantitative easing there is, right? So that would mean that out of nothing, somewhere, an altcoin season has to start, right? So Andrew Dash had a good week, yeah. Andrew Detox says, I think we'll have a slow drawn out drop as exchanges dump on retail longs. Institution can hold long term. I think this is where, if that's the case, and I will, let's put it that way. If we cross a bear cross here, I will call the end of the bull market, right? Because that was the premise all along on this channel, that the TSI will be right on the end of the bull run, okay? But that also would be a new paradigm, a new era, if that is the case, because of what I've just mentioned, everything that did not happen this time, right? But let's look at the other side of the history. This bad outlook can change in an instant if we were, let's say we come back all the way to 102,000, which is basically retesting on this, right? Because the wick didn't go all the way here. If you look at this, the wick didn't go all the way back to 102,000. It only went to 103,000, okay? So let's just assume we go all the way back here, we retest in this month, and then we come back up. The government shutdown ends. We come back up, we turn this into a green candle, and we take out maybe even the all-time high. All in 1 month. We have 26 days for that. That's a lot of time. We did the same, only reverse, in October. We took a new all-time high, and we went all the way back down here. Now we could go all the way down here and then take new all-time high, right? So is it possible? Yes, and technically, time-wise, even in old cycle metrics, we still have at the end until the end of the year. So what then? Then everything looks different suddenly, and also then sentiment would be different, right? So it's something where you can't just call it on a momentary basis. Like, on the basis of what would you call it, right? So there's something going on here besides institutions being in that, and I want to show this to you. I've posted it in the Telegram group already, but this one here, I think it's interesting to hear. So let's listen.
Every possible thing to everyone listening that you would want for Bitcoin is happening right now, meaning the government is supporting things. The financial guardrails are shifting. We've got news after news every single day about the financial guardrails becoming more digital economy. It's things that are necessary for the network effects to kick in. All of that has happened. We still see inflows from retail. We still see the banks now opening it up for people to go through. But there's clearly a bunch of whatever it is, OGs, Bitcoin miners out of China, whoever it is, large amounts. Mike Novogratz publicly said it. If you go back to July, there have been billions and billions of dollars of, let's say, original investors supporting Bitcoin, regardless of how you want to term it. So I'm writing a Substack. I think what people should think about is we don't have an IPO for Bitcoin, but this last 4 months to me feels like sourcing the pricing of the IPO, where the original investors are getting out of large chunks. Now, why is there ever an IPO? For monetization. If someone has 9 billion in Bitcoin, I mean, I think they should diversify a little bit. If it was related to China, guess what China has now that they haven't had since 2014? 14, 15. A bull market in stocks. Guess what else people have? Well, they have the chance to invest in AI. AI is a 10-bagger in many cases. You've been able to do it in the public markets. So I think at some point, Bitcoin becomes a boring asset to people who are looking for 3-baggers, 4-baggers, 5-baggers. It becomes a diversification. So I think this is just a distribution of a few massive holders. And the weaknesses I have heard about Bitcoin as I've gotten into it from institutions, it's too volatile. Not too volatile anymore. We've taken the implied volatility and the actual realized volatility down to 30 and below in some cases. So the vols come down. Okay, what's the next thing? Well, it's too concentrated in ownership. I mean, I've gone through the numbers. When you add Satoshi's wallet, you add the other whales, you're talking about a third of it has been owned by not many people. I think like 10,000 is the number I heard. Regardless of what the right answer is, every month the Bitcoin IBIT outstanding shares goes up. It's up again this month, even though the price is down. So I think everyone that's depressed has actually become entitled. I think they think it's a risk asset. Oh, there's another one. This is just a risk asset. Okay, well, it's not going up with the NASDAQ, so that's good. Lower correlation. Well, it's just digital gold. Well, it's not going up with gold. So guess what? In portfolio theory, for everyone who hasn't bought any yet, I think with your stocks, with your gold, with your bonds, now there's every argument to make. It's lower volatility now, lower correlation with the other traditional asset class, diversification from gold. I think this thing is going to move higher. I was wrong about where I thought we'd be at this point. It's still up for the year. I think once this consolidation is done and we're through the IPO process and the fundamentals take over, next year, once we get through clarity and the beginning of tokenization and the stories of Zelle and everything along those lines, I think we're going to have an acceleration.
Okay, so I thought this 3-minute video, and I wanted to give it uncommented here, so not interrupting that video in the beginning. I think it's very valuable because there is a big truth to it, and that is that you didn't have an ICO, so initial coin offering, right? You didn't have a launch for Bitcoin, but you had a lot of people that have big wallets. Now, at some point, you have distribution of that. Take profit. 100K is the exact mark where a lot of people locked in. Hey, at 100K, I'm going to take some chips off of the table and roll it into other assets, right? I think it's happening since a long time. And of course, at the moment, a lot of people are looking at that. And let's say you're really an individual, like a random guy that bought a lot of Bitcoin back then and now you are a billionaire. Of course you are going to take some chips off of the table, buy a house, roll some into stocks, roll some into gold, whatever, right? Of course people do that. That's natural. Everything else would be degenerate, right? But that doesn't mean that these people, they don't own anything and sell everything. Probably not. Probably each of these wallets are just rolling out some of the Bitcoin and some they keep for letting it to continue. But you have this natural point where there's a distribution phase. And I found someone retweeted that, but I found this very interesting. New paradigms typically benefit two groups of investors. Early entrants who grasp the technology and its potential, and later arrivals who profit from the build-out. Those in the first group are rarely part of the second. This is the way markets work. And it's really like that. I mean, there are investors that invest in startups like Uber. The thing goes 100x. They get out. They sell to institutions that see the potentials and the books of Uber. They get in and buy from these early investors. No one is sitting there and say, yeah, but this guy made 100x on Uber. I don't want it. They see the cash flows. They see the potential, they see the build out, so they are going in. So someone gets out, others go in. We see exactly this phase right now, as he says, where institutions are coming in, ETFs are building out. We see MicroStrategy and so on. There are people that are in Bitcoin since 2010. They have profited tremendously from this new paradigm. And now they are getting out. The institutions, they see the potential down the road for the next 10, 20, 50 years. And they are in. Okay, so maybe we are also in the later group, or many of us. Still time to get in, right? Institutions are getting in the game right now. So that is one part that was interesting. The other part is that the non-correlation thing, I partly disagree, because we've seen it moving sometimes with gold, sometimes with liquidity, but it's not always crystal clear, right? Speaking of which, if we're looking at this M2 global liquidity, gold has followed it, Bitcoin did not yet, right? So there should be a point where Bitcoin offset also goes accordingly, right? We've seen it here. Gold has moved global liquidity, right? We see here's the move, the next gold leg up, right? It's a little bit clearer if we actually pull this up here with gold and Bitcoin. Yeah, that there's something still missing, right? Let's see here, new price scale. There you go. Let's align the break faces, or where it's, yeah, there we go, right? So here, right? So here's the off, like here's where it's off, right? So it always, like, Bitcoin followed gold somewhat, right? And here we have this mega rally and Bitcoin just looks to the other side, right? So here we are still off, but we have always seen it here also, that this happened several times where gold already rallied and Bitcoin not. So the question is, do we get this end rally on Bitcoin Gold or not, right? I can't say for sure, but if everything goes according to history, then that it should be there as well. Regarding gold only, and let's hide Bitcoin here again, there's also something interesting in my opinion to see, and that is that gold has never been that overbought in history. And look at this volume candle here. It's nowhere to be found before, right? In 2020, we reached 84 on the RSI. We're now at 90. Gold has an RSI like an altcoin in the last bull run, okay? So we've seen that RSIs have been 85 in 86 in 2008 during this, or during and after, before and after subprime crisis. And here we see it in 2006, so before and after. And then we have two more, whereas 80, no, actually here it's 91. So it's not like, is it the highest in history? What was it exactly? 91.84. So here is 91.27, and here it's in 1973 it's 95. So it's not the highest in history, but it's the highest since a long time. So 73, and here we have 68, right? That's a long time ago. I mean, most of us were not born in that time. So we have a very high point, and I'm curious where gold goes next, because, yeah, at some point, I mean, here, for example, here, and this is why RSI, like here, the RSI is high, but still the gold rally continues until there's a bigger drop. And then we have this one here later, parabolic, and then big drop. But afterwards is like, what is the drop? Also like an altcoin, like 60% drop. Yeah, so and we will see, and that's usually where the good times come in, right? After the crisis. So apparently investors see this hardcore uncertainty right now. And I mean, we scratched World War so close, right? So yeah, I think there's something interesting to consider. Why is gold so high and what happens afterwards, right? So for example here, right, this is during the pandemic, and then in the pandemic there's sideways and then once more up, and then pandemic is over, right? And then it corrects. But now we have this mega run here. And I think it all has to do with the shift in the financial markets, with long high interest rates, with uncertainty about how the economy can recover. So everyone, also the wars that we have, everyone's fleeing into, hey, let's be safe at gold, right? Of course I kept your price there. Hey Stu, what's going on? Here, 2nd of September 2024, Stu says $8,000 gold. And I mean, we are more than halfway there. And let's just remember when Stu said that, I think it was right after the breakout here somewhere. Yeah, it was somewhere here in the upturn. Gold was not even 3,000. It was like 2.2K or so. Yeah. But Bitcoin's still not happening either. Yeah. No, it's fine. I mean, I knew that this was going to be a long-term target and so on. And it's not unrealistic to think that this is going to happen eventually. But yeah, Bitcoin is not happening either. In fact, Bitcoin, but okay, percentage-wise, what was that here? Percentage-wise, is actually an insane move out of gold, because from when you said that here at 2,300-ish something, gold went like 87%. That's a big fat move. So that was the 2nd of 9, 2024. So that was here, September 2024. But I could take the wick, but I'm only going to take the candle body, right? Bitcoin went 115%, and with that, it did outperform gold, right? Even not taking the wick, right? With the wick, it's 140%. Now, from not wick to now, it's a little bit worse than gold in the total. So similar. June, July, August, September. There we go. 2.3 to now 72. So it's equal basically. Yeah. So it's basically equal to where we stand right now. If you were compared to then and now, gold and Bitcoin have the almost the same return had you bought gold and Bitcoin there. Yeah. So I'm happy patience for all digital metals. We will be fine. Absolutely, I agree with you. Let's see how much longer this shutdown goes. Exactly. By the way, let's welcome the rare hodlers here on the channel. Thank you so much, especially Troy, once again for the donation, but also everyone else. Big clap, like smashed here for Troy Paris, for Andre, for a Green Lantern. We have, I don't know why it shows the ads now here for me in the chat. But anyways, so everyone else, of course, Stuart, very welcome on the channel. Devil, good to see you. Björn, good to see you as well. Good morning. Andrew Detox, always happy about the discussions. Orkan, but I didn't see that comment. Sorry for that. Also because the fact that we came to the end of the 4-year cycle, as soon as BTC shows weakness, people are taking profit from the cycle lows, not wanting to give them back. Exactly. So market psychology says people are fearful that it could be the end because of the 4-year cycle. So they are just in case taking chips off of the table, adding to the sell-off, adding to the panic. One thing that we also have to consider is that we didn't really have many dips compared to other cycle, right? So here we had a 20% dip. Then we had this mega long exhausting 7-month bull flag with a 33%. Then we had this one here in the end of last year, where we had the best altcoin performance, by the way. This was also only 30%. So we didn't have any 40% corrections just yet. And this one also, so far from the all-time high to where we are right now, is like 17-18%, maybe 20% in the most extent. That's not too crazy. Let's be honest. That's not too crazy. Look at Sol at the daily. Let's see. Sol USDT. That's the monthly. We want to look at the day. Oh, yeah. Yep. But I like to look at a bigger chart, more zoomed out, because I think that things look crazy when I mean. So the big threat here for Sol, in my opinion, what I clearly see is when you have extend this support, and I mean everyone can agree that this is a range in which we have been, right? Enough touch points. What I see immediately would be this, right? Left shoulder, head with a high, wick high, right shoulder, question mark, because it's not complete, right? But if it was completed here, that could be really ugly, right? But it doesn't have to. It could bounce here, and then we go into the bull run. Oh, sorry. No one can see anything. Sorry, let's go again. I see it here, sorry. We're still on the router screen. Yeah, sorry. So left shoulder, I marked here. Head, right shoulder on Solana, monthly, okay? If we were to close this and break decisively here, that would be a big fat bear market for Solana. And also, I want to emphasize, Solana went back to all-time high. Yeah, little bit new all-time high, little bit, and then nothing, right? So it's and this is the bigger ones, the cool ones, and this is something when we go to the crypto boublés, yeah. When we go to the crypto boublés and we look at market caps. So what does the market cap mean? It basically means the valuation of this particular network. For example, Injective, the valuation is 640 million on network value, right? So you would argue that, for example, let's take Ecomi, right? So basically the market says at the moment it values Ecomi, the network value of Ecomi with everything that it does and has and represents at 31 million or 32 million. So the entire Ecomi token with all its functionality and so on, you can buy for 32 million. Is that really what it should be worth? Or let's take MCAT as for everyone who doesn't like OMI, right? MetaCat, the whole network value, everything that represents the entire stack of coins you could buy for not even 12 million. Is that what it's really worth? Yeah. And then in comparison, you have other coins, networks, where you say, okay, so for example, 10 billion Chainlink. Okay, yeah. Okay, I can see that. Or maybe it's worth way more because it's basically the oracle for everything in crypto. The entire $2 trillion space. It's the oracle for everyone that builds anything with small shares on competitors. But most of the projects use this. In a $2 trillion space that has the potential to go to $20 trillion is only 10 billion. Question mark, right? Is that fair valuation? I don't know. Yeah, ICP, this is also like, in what bear market does ICP do 60% move in a week, right? It's still down 30% on the year, whereas, for example, MCAT is up 5% on the year. Let's not forget this yearly comparison. But when you see this, SUI, for example, SUI 7.4 billion is up 3% on the year. It's now, so for me, my bet is going to be, and I will observe this closely, but my bet is going to be that there's going to be a turnaround and that we will still see some altcoin move, and that high value project might be even a good buy here, like SUI, like Chainlink, for example, VeChain also, like everything that VeChain does, only 1 billion, the entire network, the entire VeChain operation. I don't know. I'm not sure. right? And then against this, you say, okay, but Bonk, the network value of Bonk is as almost as high as VeChain, is higher than, what did I say, Injective? So Bonk is worth more than Injective. Floki is similar to Injective. Is that really what we're going to say here in this space, right? So this is the thought process that is going through my mind here when I look at it, which of these things actually do something, and yeah, and the valuation. Jan says BTC tapped 104k just an hour ago. It's going up from here, up to 140, 160, and 180k by December. Buy the Bitcoin. Now before it's too late. Yeah, it depends on everyone's. Did you craft your gold coin? I have no idea. What? I have no idea what that means. Can I craft a gold coin? Where can I craft a gold coin? Is it on Vivi? Because of the wedding, I've been basically out of Vivi for like a couple of weeks. Market cap is an interesting subject, PH. It confuses many, especially newbies, to this asset class. Oh no, it's all over. Then we go nuts soon after every single time. Yeah, exactly. And this is also something to consider. Let's look around. Like, everyone and their mother is bearish. Like, everyone and their mother this time got the bear market right. Usually everyone and their mother and their ugly cousin is wrong, right? So if everyone screens for bear market, we should consider that there might be a possibility that everyone is wrong again. Okay, gold and silver logo on Vivi, you can craft digital gold coin and also get the physical too. And I can still do it because then I will go offline right now and craft it. Yeah, so, but some altcoins like got massively wrecked. VAT USDT, for example, VAT USDT has new lows. Bam! This wick went really deep, right? And we could revisit this level easily. But if that is the case, then I'm probably going to load up on this one here. Still believe in VeChain. And Ecomi. Also, I saw this with actually, I want to the OMI USDT. Yeah, this one was crazy. What the heck? So, oh, this is the 2-month chart, 1 month. That's crazy. Hugs, guys. Stu, you are everywhere. I see a random dude live. Look at the chat, and here you are. Hey. Did you call me a random dude? I thought that everyone is only a side bitch to me. What the heck? What do you mean, random dude? Apparently, Stu, like, everyone has Stu's $8,000 gold target on the screen, like everywhere. So this one on Ecomi was really scary. Like, it was building out this nice flag, and then boom. Risk off mode kicked in again, and now what? Now we're back to the lows. We didn't even catch a turnaround here, right? So scary stuff, and that brought Ecomi back to the valuation of 30. Not back, but actually to a valuation of 31 million, and that's where 0001 is in the game, right? I mean, we have seen it here. 0001 flat is in the game. Interesting, very interesting. That made some big bags to actually very, very small bags. And I would argue here, you can do whatever the heck you want right now. If the environment doesn't turn around, you're just on this negative spiral, right? I do worry that we get even more dumping on OMI. Right now, that means for $100 I can buy 1 million OMI, right? So that means if we do get more dumping to the like 10 million valuation or so, that's going to be very cheap only. But the question is, will that ever turn into a positive investment, especially if we do not get the promised altcoin season. Okay, but why risk it if BTC downtrend and BTC will make new highs? Exactly, it depends on the risk profile of everyone, right? I mean, picking altcoins here is extremely risky because it was always, right? Of course it's risky. You can pick the graph and then it goes down 90%. It can happen. That's why portfolio allocation is important, and you should, or I'm not going to say that, but myself, I will never have a 100% altcoin portfolio, right? I will have always a 51% minimum allocation to Bitcoin, which can only be thrown out of balance by a massive altcoin run when just something runs so hard it brings down my Bitcoin allocation, right? So that would be the only way that there is a less than 51% Bitcoin allocation for me. My thought maybe 96k BTC, since it went down past 105k, but up after 95k, just wouldn't be surprised to see 95. A wick can always go there on the monthly. I would also agree. I mean, for me, it would be the line in the sand for closing a monthly would be this 102k, right? Basically backtest on this previous high. That's the line in the sand for me, from my perspective. No 5-digit Bitcoin until bear market after alt season. Market needs info on the Wintermute Binance rumors and Maxi stuff that will change things too. Isn't that where they liquidate through where the accusation is that they liquidate like leveraged longs through Wintermute and manipulate the market? I think that was the theory here, right? A fun chart for BTC to look at is the volume chart from 2010 to today. You see massive volume early on, but not as much today, but you have a much higher price today. Yeah, in general, I think you see it on all coins. Not on altcoins, but on all coins, that you have way higher volume profiles. But I think that's, here you see it, right? Basically, you see this decrease in volume. I don't know actually how it's measured and through what, but I think, is it measured like in total volume, like dollar volume, is it backwards measured like in BTC and now what it would be in today's dollar terms? I don't know. Troy regulation lights diffuse to all institutions. It will be crazy if Clarity Act passes. It will make the market even more strange with so much regulation. Not only that, there's going to be the market structure bill, as far as I know, that also will will bring clarity to the entire altcoin space. Maybe institutions are also a little bit hesitant to that, but at the same time, we do have all these altcoin related ETFs coming out, right? So it's going to be interesting what will play out. It will show a hockey stick. If you would argue, I mean, you could argue that since basically here, Bitcoin only has been in a bull run, and according to whatever adoption of such an asset, I mean, we're not talking about a network value based on a company action, but rather an asset class unfolding. So let's keep that in mind while things are down, because it's so much easier to believe in that when things are green. You see it, you have to analyze your own psychology. Some people are completely immune to downturns. I am somewhat immune to downturns because when downturns are coming out, I I still see like this window of opportunity to buy, but I get why people are negative when things are red. There are people that are completely immune to it, that don't give any shit, and that also has to do with your portfolio allocation, because I think this is important lesson to learn, and you should be thankful that you learn it right now. If you're 100% on altcoins, you learn the hard way right now that for you to be extremely relaxed, you should have a little bit more diversified portfolio with an overweight and more secure and less volatile assets, which would be Bitcoin in this sense, right? Even though it's extremely volatile, it's less volatile than other altcoins. Plus, I think everyone hated during this bull run, but also in the last bull run, everyone hated on stocks. But having some stocks, some ETFs especially, can just make it more comfortable to invest in something more risky, because you always can refer back and say, hey, but my Bitcoin is up a couple of 100% and my stocks are up 80% and I get dividends and so on. So it doesn't feel that bad if an altcoin goes to hell, right? And it also, you can then learn the easier way, right? As if you are 100% allocated to that altcoin that fully implodes, right? So I would really advocate, without giving financial advice, to just have this peace of mind, whatever it is, whatever chunk it is you need to be then very relaxed to allocate some money to a shitcoin, you know? This game is not for everyone, exactly. Been out for a quick buck for 5 years now. Waiting 5 years. Never the hide the pain Herald meme has been so accurate as to the situation right now. Draining the non-believers who were out for a quick buck. I was expecting 100k BTC before tonight's crash to get to oversold, and I see a big rally after. Last time we were oversold was like 78k, and we went very strong after. I mean, we are not so oversold on the monthly, so it depends on your time frame that you put on the chart. But also we have never been really overbought on the monthly, except 2 times here. So I would still say there is room. I'm really curious how this is going to play out until the year's end with the TSI. My bet would be that somewhere mid-November the government shutdown is resolved and we turn this into a green fat candle. But who knows? Stocks are too nasty and complicated for Texas, though, compared to crypto. That's why I said ETFs. So I'm not the guy to pick individual stocks, because then you have this like altcoins and so on. You have to investigate, you have to follow the news, you have to look at numbers, quarterly, blah, blah, blah. An all world ETF, either accumulating or distributing, could be interesting to some people just to get stability into the portfolio. Something that grows like 8 to 10% on a yearly basis, like an S&P 500 ETF or all world ETF or something like that. I'm personally a fan of dividend champions. What is it, like the 100 dividend champion, just to have something that just rides along, creates some dividends. Depends on the country where you are also regarding taxes. Most brokers here in Germany, you can have them funnel the dividend gains directly to the tax information directly to the electronic tax system, so that they are already registered there, and if it's small amounts you don't pay taxes on it anyways in Germany. So that's possible, right? So it's up to you. I mean, it's not for everyone. Some people go with gold like Stu, some people go with only Bitcoin, some people like for stability, right? Some people go with real estate. Yeah. I was going on weekly. Oh, okay. How's the weekly looking on that? Yeah, that's I think here. Yeah, we're basically on the bull market levels for RSI, the bull market lows for RSI. I like BDC stocks. They have higher dividends. They loan smaller mid-sized business. That's also interesting. Yeah. No altcoin season. We don't know. We don't know if there's going to be an altcoin season or not. Not right now. It doesn't look like it, but things can change very, very quickly in crypto. Not this space. I meant overall in crypto. Oh yeah. Okay. Anyways, guys, for today, thank you very much for joining this Crypto Morning Coffee live stream. It will be a little bit unregular still since I have to travel a lot. If there's something crazy, I'm trying to do either live stream or video. Smash up the like button, be subscribed to never miss out, notifications on. Thank you so much, Troy, for the wedding gift, and all the rare hodlers for supporting me all the time. And wherever you are on the world, have yourselves now a great morning, evening, day, night, or afternoon. And catch you in the next video or live stream. Have a good one.